This podcast is brought to you by Voice and Vision, bringing help, hope, and healing to individuals, families, and communities affected by mental illness, addictions, and disabilities in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Welcome to Untold Valor, a podcast with a unique focus on veterans, featuring stories of courage, recovery, perseverance, and strength. Listen to hear veterans share their perspectives on what it's like to battle mental health challenges, combat addictions, and overcome other adversities unique to those who have served.
Time once again for another edition of Untold Valor Veterans Recovery in Action with Reverend Ben here with me as always. And this week's guest is KC Drayton, and we're looking forward to talking with KC about his time in service and his community outreach and things he's working on today as well. And as I've been informed, Ben's not allowed to ask him any questions. So, Reverend, you get to sit there and listen this week, apparently.
No, he's more than welcome as long as he keep it PG.
Gotcha. Okay, you got one of those relationships. That's good. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome in, KC. How are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. I'm blessed. I'm glad to be here once again.
Oh, glad to have you here. And Ben, you doing well this week, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Good looking forward to talking to you guys and actually talking about KC's story a little bit. So, KC, you served in the U.S. Marine Corps, right? So tell us a little bit about, you and your time in service and how you, how that got on for you, and then what's going on now and some of the outreach that you're working on.
Well, let me say, first and foremost, I love this country. I grew up in a family that wanted to serve. My father was in the Corps as well before me. He served in the Korean War. And, he used that reverse psychology. Hey, you can't be a Marine. You can't do this. Didn't realize it at the time, but he was motivating me in his own way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Encouraging me because he knew I was going to prove him wrong, right? He knew I would push to prove him incorrect.
As sons typically do, wrong. Right? Exactly.
Exactly. Yep. To say, hey, and he knew it because at the time I had a medical condition that probably would have prevented me. I won't go into specifics, but I realized I did want to become a U.S. Marine and serve. And for two main reasons. One, that always come to mind, I listened to John F. Kennedy. And when he gave his inaugural speech, he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country?
Yes, sir.
And that sunk in me as a kid, because around the time I was, really young and heard about it and loved it. And realizing my father served, went in reserve status. And my son also served in the Navy. And my grandson is currently serving in the Navy.
That's awesome. Well,
so
kudos
we have
to
four generations. Yeah. Because of the fact that we love this country. We know it's not perfect. I think we can all agree with that. No one person is and no one country is, but there's so much that this country has to offer everyone. So in my time in Marine Corps, I was fortunate enough during boot camp down in South Carolina to be put in charge of the whole platoon. Only because I spoke up and stood up and wasn't afraid to speak up. And the drill instructor, being a kid from Philadelphia, like, oh, you bad. You think you good, huh, Philly? No, sir, I don't think so, but I'm tired of this. I'll keep it PG. And he said, well, you be in charge. And he put me in charge of marching and keeping the whole platoon in unison whenever we were doing our drill team performance. And so that was my first test, my first experience with leadership, period. Because growing up in North Philadelphia, there were other things you didn't want to get into. We won't talk about all the gangs and the shootings and the things that happened. So being a young man, I wanted to get off the streets and I wanted to learn. And I figured, well, I'm going to deal with the gangs. I should at least learn how to shoot too, right? Going in the Marine Corps was one of those things that you realize, I'm not sure, but I'm going to try. You should always, and I learned from my life, you should always be willing to try. So in the Corps, I just kept trying this. I started running before I went in, like I said, to make sure my medical condition had become an issue. And I got in and I served and continued. And like I said, what Robert F. Kennedy said, I also think of Shirley Chisholm, who talked about the fact that service is the rent we pay for life on this planet, right? For life on this earth. And so that being the case, I did my term as a reserve status because I was thinking, the recruiter said, hey, we can pay for college and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, oh, great, that's even better. I'm going to learn this and learn that. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I served my time and chose not to reenlist. So I was blessed to avoid any actual combat. However, I had some experiences on the streets of Philadelphia that could have been just as traumatic, with guns in my face. Luckily, no one pulled the trigger, things of that nature. But I've always looked back at service. Service is my life.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed to travel around the world, India, South America, Central America, Europe, and of course, domestically, helping when I can during the seasons, giving away turkeys, helping with doing workshops and seminars, things of that nature. And I'm hoping to get back in the quote field, maybe taking another international trip and doing something with my church. Or if not, I will go with another church. I will ask them, where are you going? What are you doing? It's a place I've never been. So I make it a point to try to go someplace every year I've never been. And if it's in service, I will go there and just follow the leaders. Tell me what you want me to do. Tell me how I can help. Tell me what, to learn the customs so I don't offend anyone. When you go into certain countries, you want to be mindful of that. But the one thing I remember, and the thing that really hit me hard, was in the service when I was in the Corps. Unfortunately, right before I was due to reenlist, 250 Marines were killed in the bombing in Beirut.
Yeah.
And, that was one of those things that, unfortunately, it was politicians. And so that changed my direction. And that's the one reason why I didn't reenlist when I had the opportunity. I ended up going into the private sector, working for Fortune 500 companies. And now I currently work full-time for the federal government as a public servant still.
Yeah. So you were always called to, if you felt you're always called to serve, and that's fantastic. In your time in service, and then when you transitioned out, how did that go for you? A lot of times, a lot of things we talk about and people we chat with here on the program, there's a lot of struggle at times with the transition back to civilian life.
Well, one of the main reasons why I didn't reenlist is because, again, being reserve status initially, I was still home for most of the time to go to college. Mm-hmm. And I had a new wife with 2 kids, one on the way. So I think you may have heard this wonderful quote by a wonderful philosopher, right? And they mention it says, the life of the many is worth the life of the few or the one. Do you remember who said that?
I do not.
That was Spock.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The need, outweigh the few. Yeah.
Needs,
okay.
Yeah. The needs of the
many outweigh the needs of the few.
The needs of the few. Yeah. Or the one. Right. And obviously, military service, you definitely look at the fact that you may be that person to sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice, right? Because you believe that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few, right? Mm-hmm. But it's easy to say that when it's not someone you love.
Sure.
Right? It's easy to say that when it's not your daughter, your son, your mother, your brother, that's doing that sacrifice. So being a young husband with 2 kids, I had to realize what's my first priority, right? I love my country, right? But it's not the first. It's God, family, then country. So you have to recognize the order of things in your life.
And that's what's important to you, absolutely.
What's important to you.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And faith definitely helps me stay focused. It kept me away from the nonsense during the years. And being in the service, it kept me exceeding, trying to be a leader, learning to lead, even during my reserve status and active duty. That I said, well, again, when that thing happened in Beirut, I felt like, I might not be in a position to serve the way I want to because of all this political stuff and be taken away.
Gotcha.
You run that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, yes. Yeah. Well, Ben, jump in here. What's some questions you might have that he said that you got to keep him PG?
When he mentioned that Beirut, that's fresh to me because that was my part of my unit over there, and I knew a lot of those guys that were in that building that got killed, and that just brings back memories to me. But one thing I want to say about Brother Drayton is that he is still in service. Like many service members, we have this need to serve. I don't know if it comes from being dwelling in the military, but we had this common bond. We want to serve. He actually serves on Compeer Corps right now as a volunteer. And we're moving into a new season where we're going to start doing some things with some seniors, and I'm looking forward to working with you on that, KC. But yeah, KC, I read your bio. I've been around you a few times, and you're definitely somebody that I'm glad to have part of the team.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. So, working with Compeer, as you're starting to work on that, one of the things that struck me with this organization, KC, is that, veterans feel comfortable talking with other veterans, and they just, having that outlet and somebody with some shared experiences goes a long way into helping with whatever you might be going through, right? So that's going to be that continuing to serve and help your fellow veterans. Is that something that's got you pretty pumped up?
Absolutely, because I thought about it at Pierce College. I don't know if you're familiar with Pierce College in the Philadelphia area. It was founded for veterans.
Oh, okay. Did not know that.
Yeah. Mr. Pierce came back from the war. He wanted to go back to college after World War II and decided, listen, we need to do something that helps veterans. So Pierce College was specifically created to help veterans, and looking at that with the programs they offer as well to help you with the tuition, as well as what they call adults, right? Because a lot of things are geared towards the younger kids.
Yeah.
So Pierce is, was focused on, because obviously coming from the war, you're not a kid anymore. You're really not. You learn to mature really fast about a lot of things. And I can say this to anyone who has gone through anything. There's always, like we just talked about, the sacrificing, right? There's always going to be what we call, obviously, biblically, trials and tribulations. But we must always continue to get up. Get up, look at the new day, be thankful, and start fresh. Just kind of start over. Let every day be a new start if that's what it takes. Like I said, one of my goals is every year I like to do something I've never done and go somewhere I've never been. And Compeer is an opportunity for me to learn going forward, help veterans, other seniors as well, go moving forward.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at the end of the day, right, I mean, finding an outlet, finding help and a resource for whatever you need is something that we can all relate to, whether you're a combat veteran or not, right? There's still things out there that you might, need some help with. And so that, as always, if you got those questions, need some help, reach out to the team at Voice and Vision and Compeer. You'll find the links in the show descriptions this month, or on this episode, all episodes really. So, Ben, any final questions from you before I ask Casey one more question?
Go ahead.
My final question I always kind of tee up to people, Casey, is what's a message you'd like to share, from your time on this earth, time served, time, in private sector, time, doing the different things you've done? What's something you'd share with other veterans out there who maybe do struggle with whatever it might be in their life? Any kind of final message from you?
I thought about that, actually. And the one thing that always comes to mind is I'm a spiritual person. So if you have faith, hope, right? Mm-hmm. Faith in something more powerful to you, hope in a new day. And like I said previously, continue to get up, do stuff, be active, be involved. I think that's my message. Faith, hope, and, like, in a sense, be a go-getter.
Yeah.
Do things. I'm a project manager by profession. I love that profession because every day there's something new going on, something new happening, something new about to go on. Going from point A to point B, whatever it may be, a destination I've never been to, traveling somewhere I've never been. So I like to always be optimistic. I like to call myself an optimistic person as opposed to pessimistic, right?
Yeah.
Is that I try to be positive, continuously positive. There's moments when I, have my moments.
We all have. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have.
You wouldn't be human if you didn't.
Exactly. You wouldn't be. And I sit back and go, and I tell my kids sometimes, hey, I don't want no drama in the morning. Can we skip the drama in the morning? Can we save it for in the afternoon?
At least until I had some coffee or something.
Until after I pray, right? My prayer, my meditation, whatever you call it, your prayer, your meditation, till at least that's over, because anything else, it's under our God's control, your believer's control, ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Well, that's right.
Yeah. Ben, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you, KC, for coming on. And I like it when I come across veterans like yourself, or just men like yourself in general, who are set aside, because there's not many people who really want to give up their time. So when we get a person that comes around that wants to give up their time to help another human being, we do not take it lightly. We really appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Ben, for thinking of me, and it's a pleasure to meet you. Didn't know we would get this far so soon. But, that's been a blessing because I think we're going to be doing, hopefully, many great things going forward, prayerfully, with everything that's happening in Delta.
Sir.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening in Delta.
Well, thank you so much for your time, KC. We certainly appreciate it. As always, if you got some questions, need some help, if you're some things that are bugging you and you want to talk with someone, click on one of the links down below under the show notes and get some time with the team at Compeer Corps and Voice and Vision and talk to someone. Reach out and get the help and realize that there is lots of help out there. No matter what you're going through in life, we've done a lot of shows with a lot of different resources, from legal to spiritual to financial to PTSD or addiction. Lots of resources out there for our veterans. So if you need help, don't be afraid to ask. And with that, we will see you next time and talk to you next time here on Untold Valor, Veterans Recovery in Action. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast if you're not currently doing so on whatever app you enjoy using, and share it with other veterans and veterans' family members who might enjoy the content as well. We'll see you next time. You've been listening to Untold Valor by Voice and Vision. We hope you found the information and resources discussed today helpful. As always, thank you for listening and for your support. Remember to stay connected with us through our various social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Don't forget to visit the website, voiceandvisioninc.org. That's voiceandvisioninc.org, where you can sign up for our blog and find free resources and information on upcoming events, webinars, workshops, and get support. You can also access our free help and hope guide for individuals and families struggling with substance use and addiction. If someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help, because you and your life matter. Remember, the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available to you at any time by dialing 988. We are all ambassadors of hope and recovery, and if you want to share your story, please contact us. Compeer Corps is also looking for veteran mentor volunteers and veteran participants. To find out more information about Compeer Corps, please call 610-541-0790. That's 610-541-0790. You can find all the links and contact information for the resources mentioned on today's episode by checking the description and the show notes section of your app. Thank you again for tuning in and for your support. Until next time, this has been Untold Valor.